White Walkers teased again. Hidden clues in House of the Dragon Season 2 you missed. Welcome back, everyone, to the channel where fantasy meets strategy and nostalgia fuels our digital adventures. In the world of Westeros, death is never the end, it's merely the beginning of another tale. And as House of the Dragon returns with its second season, it's not just dragons, betrayal, or civil war grabbing our attention. There's something colder, something darker, lurking in the shadows once again. Are the White Walkers being teased? Could Season 2 be hiding subtle clues that connect to the ultimate threat that once haunted the world in Game of Thrones? Today, we dive deep into the most chilling theories, blink and you miss it details, and cryptic foreshadowing from Season 2 of House of the Dragon. Grab your Valyrian steel and light your dragonglass torches, because what lies ahead will make you question everything you thought you knew about the dance of the dragons, and the long night still to come. A Song of Ice and Fire. The Secret Legacy. Let's start with what House of the Dragon Season 1 already revealed. Aegon the Conqueror's prophetic dream, known as A Song of Ice and Fire. In the final episodes of Season 1, we learned that Aegon didn't just unite Westeros for power, he did it because he foresaw a threat from the north. A threat that would require all the kingdoms to stand together. Season 2 expands on this by subtly weaving that prophecy into the political chaos of the Targaryen civil war. King Viserys once whispered this dream to Rhaenyra, and now that he's gone, we see how no one else truly understands its importance, except perhaps Alicent, who misheard the prophecy, believing it applied to Aegon too. But pay attention, the writers didn't introduce the prophecy just to let it fade. The dream still lingers in the background of every conversation about succession, every dragon battle, and every fear about the realm's future. Could the White Walkers be watching, even now, as the Targaryens tear themselves apart? Winter is coming, again. The Stark connection. Now here's where things get even colder. In Episode 3 of Season 2, we get our first real glimpse of House Stark, and Lord Cregan Stark finally steps into the narrative. He's young, grim, and already displays the stoic nobility we've come to associate with the Starks. But more importantly, he talks about winter. During a tense scene with Jacaerys Velaryon, Cregan looks northward and says something strange. The wall may stand, but that does not mean it is silent. That line might sound poetic at first, but it echoes ancient northern fears. It's an ominous statement suggesting that things are stirring beyond the wall, even in this age of dragons and politics. Why would the writers include that line unless they wanted us to remember, there's more to Westeros than King's Landing and Dragonstone? And did you notice the cold mist in the air during their meeting? It lingers just a bit longer than necessary, almost supernatural. These are subtle ways House of the Dragon is teasing a connection to the North's ancient evil. Cryptic symbolism. Snowflakes, owls, and ancient runes. Let's talk about the symbols and visual storytelling, because House of the Dragon is packed with hidden meaning. One clue comes during Episode 4, when a maester discusses an unseasonal cold wind, blowing across the Vale and into the north. He attributes it to a freak weather pattern. But the framing of that scene, it's not accidental. We see frost creeping across the windows of the Eyrie. Snowflakes melt on a raven's feathers. And then, as the camera pans to the maester's candle, it flickers out. These visual cues are eerily similar to how the White Walkers were foreshadowed in early seasons of Game of Thrones. Cold arrives before death. And let's not forget the owl that appears briefly before that scene, a nod to ancient folklore about harbingers of death and hidden watchers. The camera lingers just a second too long on its glowing eyes in the night. Even the book Rhaenyra's son Lucerys was studying before his death in Season 1 had strange Valyrian runes. In Season 2, Maester Gerardes references the book again, noting that some of its text speaks of a cold darkness, older than flame. Is this yet another hidden reference to the White Walkers? The children of the forest and forgotten magic. For those who know their lore, the White Walkers, or the Others, as they were called in the old tales, were created by the children of the forest using ancient magic. While they were believed to be long extinct by the time of House of the Dragon, Season 2 hints that their magic still lingers. In a surprising moment during Episode 5, Prince Daemon visits Harrenhal. There, he experiences a bizarre vision. The trees whisper, a shadow looms in the mist, and he sees a frozen crown. This could just be the hallucinatory effects of stress, or could it be something more? Some fans believe this was a vision of the Night King, or a premonition of darkness that still sleeps. Demon, ever the warrior, brushes it off. But Harrenhal is a place steeped in tragedy and old magic. If any location could connect to ancient forces, it's that cursed ruin. The producers even stated in interviews that Season 2 would lean more into the mythical tone of Westeros, subtly suggesting that not all threats are human. Blood and ice. The foreshadowing of dreams. Let's return to Aegon's dream, because Season 2 doubles down on its importance. In one of Rhaenyra's private scenes, she experiences a dream of her own. She sees herself walking through a field of ash and snow, where a shadowy figure watches from afar. It's wearing a crown, but its face is featureless, cold, pale, and unreadable. Could this be a metaphor for the war to come, or could it be a vision of a future king of death? Remember, the Targaryens are dragon dreamers. Some, like Daenerys the Dreamer, foresaw the doom of Valyria. If Rhaenyra is beginning to glimpse visions of a threat beyond the dance of the dragons, it could be a sign that the White Walker's presence is rippling backward through time. Dreams in George R.R. Martin's universe are never random. They are warnings, prophecies, messages from beyond. The Wall is always watching. While the Wall hasn't appeared yet in House of the Dragon, its shadow looms large. There's a chilling piece of dialogue in Episode 6 where a Night's Watch raven arrives at Storm's End. It's brushed off by Esser Barrow's Baratheon, but the message is cryptic. Strange lights seen beyond the frost fangs. We remain vigilant. This line, brief as it is, feels like it was pulled straight out of the Game of Thrones playbook. The Frostfangs are the icy mountains beyond the Wall, where the White Walkers were first seen. Could the Night's Watch already be noticing things? Could there be scouts, or worse, creeping through the snow, unseen? The showrunners didn't have to include that raven. It doesn't advance the Civil War plot. But its inclusion means something. Demon and the Death in the North theory. Here's where one of the most popular fan theories gains traction, and it centers around Prince Daemon Targaryen. In Episode 7, Daemon confides in Rhaenyra about his dreams where he dies not in battle, but in the snow. In one, he sees a pale woman with blue eyes calling to him. In another, he stands before a gate of ice that never opens. Could this be foreshadowing his fate? Could Daemon one day journey north, either literally or in spirit, to face the ancient evil? Some theorists believe Daemon's story might end in a way that connects to the north. Maybe he becomes a sacrifice, or maybe he passes his blade to someone who will fight the cold threat centuries later. Either way, the visions are chilling, both literally and metaphorically. The prophecy circle is closing. All signs point toward one truth. The prophecy of Aegon the Conqueror isn't just window dressing. It's central to the larger narrative. Every time we hear mention of the realm's true threat, or uniting the Seven Kingdoms, it's not just about politics, it's about survival. The Dance of the Dragons, tragic as it is just the beginning of the unraveling that leads to the world we see in Game of Thrones. And Season 2 subtly reminds us of that, through symbolism, dreams, cold winds, and cryptic ravens. The White Walkers may not be walking in Season 2, but they are stirring. Watching, waiting. So what does it all mean? Is House of the Dragon secretly setting up the return of the White Walkers? Are we being shown the early ripples of a much greater war? One where dragons won't be enough, and where ice may eventually conquer fire. While we may never see the White Walkers directly in this series, Season 2 clearly wants us to remember the prophecy. The long night, the cold beyond the Wall, and perhaps the most important lesson of all. When the snows fall and the white winds blow, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. Westeros is heading toward a storm far greater than civil war, and House of the Dragon is daring enough to hint at the winds that are already howling. Did you catch any other hidden clues about the White Walkers in Season 2? Drop them in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more deep dives into the world of ice and fire. Winter may not be here yet, but it's coming.